Okay, we are in the light of the soul, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and we are in the second book on the seventh sutra. Desire is attachment to objects of pleasure. This is not a literal translation by any means, but gives the basic idea so clearly that it is best to translate the sutra as above. These objects of pleasure cover all the attachments which a man forms from the savage state of infant humanity up to the advanced degrees of discipleship. They cover desire for gross objects on the physical plane, as well as attachment to those things, occupations, and reactions which the emotions or intellectual pursuits will offer. They cover the whole gamut or range of sensuous experience, from the response of the savage to warmth and a good meal to the rapture of the mystic. Desire is a generic term covering the outgoing tendency of spirit towards form life. It may mean the delight of a cannibal for that which he eats, the love of man for his family, the appreciation of the artist for a beautiful painting, or the adoration of the devotee for Christ or his guru. It is all attachment in some degree or another, and the progress of the soul seems to be in this dispensation from one object of sense to another until that time comes when he is thrown back alone upon himself. He has exhausted all objects of attachment, and even his guru seems to have left him alone. Only one reality is left, that spiritual reality, which is himself, and his desire then turns inward. It is no longer outgoing, but he finds the kingdom of God within. All desire then leaves him. He makes contacts and continues to manifest and work upon the planes of illusion, but he works from a center where dwells his divine self, the sum total of all desire, and there is nothing to lure him forth into the byways of pleasure or pain. So you can see, and he says, key words here is it covers the whole gamut or range of sensuous experience, from the response of the savage to that of the mystic. Sutra number 8, hate is aversion for any object of the senses. This sutra is the reverse of the preceding one. The true yogi neither feels aversion or desire. He is balanced between these pairs of opposites. Hate causes separation, whereas love reveals the unity underlying all forms. Hate is the result of concentration upon form and of a forgetfulness of that which every form reveals, and every form in more or less degree. Hate is the feeling of repulsion and leads to a withdrawal of the man from the object hated. Hate is the reverse of brotherhood, and therefore is the breaking of one of the basic laws of the solar system. Hate negates unity, causes barriers to be built, and produces those causes which lead to crystallization, destruction, and death. It is energy used to repudiate instead of to synthesize, and therefore runs counter to the law of evolution. Hate is really the result of the sense of personality and of ignorance plus misapplied desire. It is almost the culmination of the other three. It was the sense of personality and of extreme ignorance coupled with desire for personal gain, which produced hatred of Abel in the heart of Cain and caused the first murder or the destruction of a brother's form. This should be carefully considered, for hate in some degree, aversion to some extent, is present in every human heart. Only, however, when it is entirely overcome by love or the sense of unity, will death, danger, and fear pass out of the ken of the human family. All right, moving on to the ninth sutra, or Sutra 9, second book. Intense desire for sentient existence is attachment. This is inherent in every form, is self-perpetuating, and known even to the very wise. This form of attachment is the basic cause of all manifestation. It is inherent in the relationship of the two great opposites, spirit and matter. It is the governing factor in egoic manifestation, and this is the reason why even the very wise are subject to it. This form of attachment is an automatic, self-reproducing, self-perpetuating faculty, and it should be remembered that the overcoming of this tendency, even when carried to its highest stage by the adept, is but a relative overcoming. As long as the logos of our solar system, or the absolute spirit, incarnates through the medium of a solar system, this tendency will be present in the highest planetary spirit and the most elevated spiritual existence. All that is possible in overcoming attachment or killing out desire is to develop the power to balance the pairs of opposites on any particular plane, so that one is no longer held by the forms of that plane and withdrawal becomes possible. Various secondary meanings are given by the ordinary student to the words attachment, desire, and their killing out. They are interpreted in terms of the student's small advancement. They are but English words which most inadequately and only symbolically seek to express an occult truth. They can only be truly understood in terms of the law of attraction and repulsion and through an understanding of the system of occult vibrations. And I think we've kind of talked about this, the law of attraction and repulsion a bit. And, when we're walking the middle path and we're walking in between those two, you definitely know it because you're not being pulled, and you are, you can recognize that balance. They will live or to the will to live or to manifest is part of the divine life impulse, and therefore is right. The will to bear, to manifest upon any specific plane or through any specific group of forms is not right when that sphere of manifestation is outgrown, and when any particular set of forms have served their purpose of providing media or experience contacts and can teach no further lessons. Evil enters in, for a tendency to evil is but a tendency to revert to the use of forms and practices which the indweller has outgrown. For this reason, the gross animal sins are universally regarded as evil, because it is generally recognized that the dweller in the form of man has outgrown the third or animal kingdom. And we've said this before as well, and we've talked about this before. The only real problem is when we can be further advanced and have the opportunity to be more advanced, and we're choosing to not be. That makes that's a shame in a sense. An adept, therefore, has transcended attachment to forms. An adept, therefore, has transcended attachment to forms on three planes: physical, astral, and mental, and has killed out all longing for the forms of those planes. When the life or spirit withdraws itself, the form dies occultly. When the thought of the ego or higher self is occupied with its own plane, there is no energy outgoing towards the matter of the three worlds, and so no form building and form attachment is there possible. This is in line with the occult truism that energy follows thought, and in line too with the teaching that the body of the Christ principle, the Buddhic vehicle, only begins to coordinate as the lower impulses fade out. Well, because it would be hard to imagine to get even a word in edgewise. It is consistent also with the fact that the causal vehicle, the body of the higher discipleship, than was previously possible in the entire cycle of previous incarnations. I think I messed that up too. Okay, let me start again. It is consistent also with the fact that the causal vehicle, the body of the higher self on the abstract levels of the mental plane, gains in beauty, size, and activity with greater rapidity during the stages of discipleship than was previously possible in the entire cycle of previous incarnations. Egoic energy is not strictly outgoing, but is directed more literally to its own self-development. Attachment to form, or the attraction of form for spirit, is the great involutionary impulse. Repulsion of form and consequent form disintegration is the great evolutionary urge. We went fast today. We went through 7, 8, and 9 pretty quickly. It's worth reading again. It's worth contemplating these things, certainly. It's better to, this is plenty of material for us to ponder on until tomorrow. Desire is attachment to objects of pleasure. Hate is aversion for any object of the senses. And intense desire for sentient existence is attachment. This is inherent in every form, is self-perpetuating and known even to the very wise. And I just had this conversation, this urge to grow is, and it's aspiration. It's the highest of these, but it is nevertheless of it, but it is also needed to create the tension that is required for us to continue to move on and progress. So there's, these things are interrelated and overlapping, and a number of things can be confused, I want to say, at times. All right, I'm going to leave it there for today because this is a lot. And we'll get back at it tomorrow. Yeah. All right, have a good one. Bye.